Hey everybody, today I am joined by Gary Singh, a well-respected immigration attorney here in Honolulu. Gary has over 25 years of experience handling immigration, criminal, and family law cases. He's the founder of the law office of Gary Singh, a boutique firm that has helped countless clients navigate everything from visas to deportation defense. Gary's also a member of the Hawaii Federal Criminal Justice Act panel and speaks multiple languages, making him an essential advocate for Hawaii's diverse immigration community. We're lucky and I'm honored to have Mr. Gary Singh, Esquire. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, happy to be here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'll just say yes for those watching this. I have a black eye. I train jujitsu, and every once in a while you get a black eye. But shout out to the people at my gym as well as those at Henzo Gracie Austin. Great place to do jujitsu. So yeah, that's why I got a black eye.
Well, other than that, you're doing fine.
Yeah, very good.
That's
So yeah,
that's
just to give people a preview of, I guess, the topics that we're going to be addressing, a little teaser, so to speak. We're going to talk about the enforcement changes that have taken place under the Trump administration. We're going to talk about kind of like uh, I guess it's a shift. Some people kind of are maybe go on the side of fear mongering, but I don't know. From my experience, and me and Mr. Singh have some shared clients where, if you have a criminal record, that's a tough situation, especially when it comes to getting rearrested and deported. We'll talk about criminal convictions. We'll talk about what it takes to bring somebody in legally, either a family member or potentially a wife or a spouse. And let's first get started with the shift that has occurred now that Trump is in office. What are the changes that you have been seeing on a policy basis, and how has that been affecting people here in Hawaii?
well, on the policy basis, the first thing is in the past, DHS, Department of Homeland Security, deportation section slash ICE, when they pick someone up who's here for illegal reentry or had a criminal conviction, they had discretion in post letting us know how much the bond would be to get someone out of custody. Now, only an immigration judge can decide that. So that's a major shift in my mind because the custody hearings do not happen right away. Can take 2 to 3 weeks before you go before an immigration judge who will look at all the evidence and make a decision, one, to release you or not. And if yes, they're going to release you, how much bond to be posted. And that is big because a person can be sitting in jail for like I said, 2 to 3 weeks before you see a immigration judge. That's major. The other major shift that I've seen is that during the Biden administration, enforcement was not a priority with DHS. They only picked people up who had a conviction, a serious felony conviction. And now anyone who is here with any conviction, you're under the radar, you get picked up. Can be a 30-year-old conviction. If that triggers immigration consequences, you will be arrested. Now, there's a difference between a person getting arrested while they are on American soil and a person who leaves the country who's a green card holder trying to come back in. And I'm sure some of us have watched the news, the lady who was in Hawaii for like a long time, and then she went up to Seattle and she was detained. So when you leave the country and you're a green card holder and you have any conviction, when you're coming back to USA, you're basically knocking on the door, telling to USA, please let me back in. I'm a person of a good moral character. I do not have any conviction. Now, if you do have conviction, you will go into a secondary room at the airport. It's called a typical person comes to the airport, arrives in Honolulu, for example, goes through the first custom agent. If you're clean, you just walk out. You go down, you get your luggage, and you leave the airport. If you have any kind of criminal conviction, even if it's a DUI and it's taken care of, they are going to send you to a room called the secondary room. And you can sit there sometimes from 3 to 4 hours because that
Wow.
room is usually packed. And in Honolulu, especially, all the flights come in between 8 and noon from Asia. All international flights are coming in. So sometimes individuals can sit there for till 2 or 3 o'clock before you get cleared to leave the airport. So
Mm.
if you do have a criminal conviction, even for DUI, plan on spending some time in the secondary room. And if you have a conviction that may trigger removal from the USA and you have to go before an immigration judge, then you will be going from the airport to the federal detention center that is right next door.
Wow,
And
that's such a valuable tip because I'm a little bit when people get on the news and they're advocates, but then they just cry about the state of affairs, they don't offer like solutions. They talk about doing all these like it's going to take a legislative session. It's going to take tens of thousands of dollars to propose a bill. You have to hope that, it actually goes through the different stages and actually gets signed by the governor just so that you could change what is going on right now. That's some of the most practical advice that I've heard. If you're a green card holder with a conviction, a minor conviction, be prepared to be stopped and spend a few hours as you get cleared if you come back into the country. And if you have maybe a felony conviction, it makes zero sense to leave, especially if you want to come back. Did I kind of get that right?
totally correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Super practical advice. And yeah, thank you for that. That's a big change. So um I was in court and I was speaking with a very nice lady who is with a public office, highly educated, very leftward leaning, which is fine. And this person had told me that because of the Trump administration, now kids are being taken from school via ICE deportations. And also, I saw on the news an advocate saying that the change in policy is a fear tactic. Now they could go to doctors' offices, hospitals, schools, and try to remove people. So, my question for you is, has it just been a policy change and perhaps it's more of a fear mongering, they object to the change, or have you seen any people being detained by ICE and taken out of schools, hospitals, doctors' offices, anything like that?
I have not seen that.
Okay.
To be fair to the government is not going to go out there and arrest people for no reason. You
Hmm.
know, see, a lot of people react to what's going on right now. Like, for example, when you come to USA and you applying for green card, let's say you're married to someone from a foreign country, they are here on a student visa. When you go through the process, if you look at the application, they ask you a lot of questions on it. One of the questions are you going to overthrow the United States government? Are you willing to comply with the laws? And you're going to check all those boxes, saying basically, yes, please give me this benefit, the benefit being a green card, for example. Even on the citizenship application, it asks you the same questions. It even asks you a question on it saying, have you committed a crime that you were not arrested for? And you say no. If you say yes, your application is not going to get a, but the question is there.
Hmm.
So going back to your question as to have I seen individuals from school, doctor's office, or church getting picked up in Honolulu, Hawaii? The answer is no. The Homeland Security officers are out there arresting individuals who have criminal convictions at this point, or who are out there trying to scam other local citizens of this country. They come over here from a different country and they have some sort of scam going on, trying to cheat people or commit a crime.
Yeah, I almost got scammed trying to help some scammers who were scamming people for the last few years. So Just to set the table, for everybody who's listening. So there was like a ring of people who were from originally Romania, and I don't know if they qualify as gypsies. I always thought that was like a derogatory term, but then sometimes I've also heard that it's a term of pride to describe travelers in certain Eastern European cultures. So I don't know how it goes. Excuse me if I have this wrong. I'm not trying to, take away from anybody, but I didn't know who these people were. But for the last 2 years, there's been stories of these travelers with fake jewelry targeting the kupuna, which is older people here in Hawaii, and tugging on their heartstrings, saying, "Oh, I'm a traveler, and uh, something happened, and we're just trying to get a ticket back home, and we have this jewelry here. Try it on. Would you like to buy it?" And it's such a elaborate scam where supposedly there's even Crime Stopper reports where Kupuna were getting their jewelry taken in exchange. They're leaving the fake jewelry on and then taking the real jewelry. And then the poor old lady doesn't know until she gets home, or you end up buying some jewelry because you go for the scam and then you
Right,
get back home and then you find that it's fake. So that's been happening for the last 2 years. And I got calls from people. This was the last bust in Kauai. And
right.
there's a few of them. They're very persistent. They're totally scammers, got onto it. But in the beginning, before I figured that out, I referred them to you because I didn't know what to do
Yes,
because they all had immigration bonds. So, what was
right.
your experience like when I sent those people your way?
Well, I got a lot of calls
Mm,
from different people from the mainland. They're all saying that, oh, please go see this person. But my question, the first question I always ask is, why is this person in custody? And the next question is, what is their immigration status? If a person is here without inspection, that means they crossed the border with no proper papers. Even if I go and see them, there's nothing I can do for them,
mm,
because there's no relief unless they're going to be filing for an asylum. And if they've been here for more than a year, they do not qualify for asylum. There's
really?
a cutoff date on asylum, but they do qualify for a convention against torture if you've been here for longer than a year. But the grounds for winning that relief is very high. If you've been here for like 10 years and you have not submitted any application and now you're in custody and you're claiming 15 years ago back home, the government was trying to kill you. That's not going to go easy. Plus it doesn't sound right to me. So when I was talking to these individuals, different people were calling me and I couldn't get the story straight. And that's why I decided I'm not going to put my time into it. It just makes no sense to me. And my understanding is I was at the FTC yesterday. They're still here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Unreal. So, I I guess I don't want to sound jaded because I take every phone call and I got like a whole morning routine because you're in the criminal defense game too. I'm a bail bondsman. And when you
Right.
take calls from people in distress, there's no, I guess, more accurate term or better term than I could use. It's just dumping this emotion on you. I mean, it could be toxic. It could get every phone call takes a little piece out of you because people are just dumping their trauma onto you.
Right. Right.
So you do have to be quick and you do get an ear for when people are just trying to take advantage of you. And I
Right.
figured it out by like the second call. But what I think their tactic is if they don't get the answer that they want from the one person calling, somebody in
Right.
the
No.
family just calls you, pretends like,
Correct.
oh, my English is better. Let me go
Right.
ahead and start from the jump
Right.
again. And it's
Right.
very time consuming. And then you have to go
Right.
over everything again. And then you just get wiped out by two or three people calling persistently when you've already told the first person exactly. And then you have to repeat, repeat, repeat. And then
Right.
luckily, I don't do immigration bonds, so there's nothing I could do, but I did spend a lengthy amount of time just trying to
Mhm.
tell them hey,
Right.
there's nothing you could do. They're probably going to get extradited to the federal detention center on Oahu. You probably should speak with an attorney, yet they're hammering my line.
And as I said, they're still sitting there, and they probably went before an immigration judge, and they probably told the judge they have some sort of credible fear of going home, maybe. I do not know.
Mm,
Or they were removed and they appealed it, and they cannot remove the individual for 30 days unless they file the appeal. And if the appeal is filed by these individuals, you cannot remove them till that runs its course.
mm,
So, people do all kind of things. And like you said, when people are under distress and someone is in jail, they will do whatever it takes.
yeah.
And it's time consuming. I mean, ever since Trump is back as a president, the calls regarding immigration cases have gone up. But 90% of these calls, there's nothing I can do for them
Mm,
because they are either they have a criminal conviction that is considered to be an aggravated felony, or they are here illegally and there's no relief for them.
yeah, that's a bummer. So, um, I am sort of a tactician, and if you could find a way to get into the country, bless you. And you're a
Mhm.
contributing citizen. You it's good to have diversity. You want to have a number of different cultures here. This is all great for our society. But unfortunately, a lot of times really pushy, sometimes lack of character people are the ones who, for whatever reason, are calling my office. Instead,
Right,
change gears and talk about the people who have a good shot of becoming a citizen here in the United States. So, what's like the best case scenario? Let's just say maybe you're from the Philippines, which we have a very big Filipino population here in Hawaii,
right,
or you're from an Asian country, and I feel like Hawaii is like the Vegas for the Japanese. They love coming over here. It's a
right,
quick flight,
right.
and they want to become a citizen. So, what's the right way for somebody who's a non-citizen to become an American citizen?
Okay, let's say a person comes here on a tourist visa, and it's a female, and she meets Mr. Nice. Mr. Nice is a US citizen. And they develop a relationship, a romantic relationship. And she goes back to Japan, and then he flies to Japan and spends some time with her. And then she comes back here again and spends, Japanese citizens can come to USA and stay here up to 90 days without a visa, But a typical tourist usually only comes here for 4 days from Japan. So she comes back here and she decides to stay here for like more than a month, and they decide to get married. Which is fine. It's a bona fide relationship as long as there's no fraud being committed here. So they get married, and the US citizen comes and see me. So I ask them to complete the necessary documents with Homeland Security, um, submit all the applications, and wait for a response from Homeland Security. We'll get receipts for the applications. And once we get the receipt, um, we go forward. Sometimes there's an interview, sometimes there's none. And the initial application is usually, if it is approved, it's good for 2 years. The green card is called conditional green card. After the 2-year period, you file more documents, then you get your 10-year green card. After being here for 3 years as a green card holder, provided you pay all your taxes, you do not have any criminal record, you're a person of a good moral character, you can apply for citizenship. And the citizenship, you submit the application, you go down for an interview. This citizenship, you have to study the American history. You have to know how to read English and write English. And if you have all that, and if you have been there for 3 years, and you're a person of good moral character, you will become a US citizen.
That's kind of a lot. You have to be able to speak and write, and then you get a 2-year conditional green card or visa. What's the difference between a visa and a green card?
Okay, a visa is as a non-immigrant document in your passport. You can come here, for example, some countries, you need to get a visa to come to USA, for example, the Philippines. Okay, the Philippines, you just cannot jump on the plane and come to the USA. because they have a high level of individuals who do not go back. Japan, um, Korea, Taiwan, Singapore, some of the countries who have this visa waiver program, and people do come here and they stay here for a couple of days and then they go back home. So
Hmm.
they do not have to go to the American embassy to apply for a tourist visa. Then
Hmm.
we also have visas such as a student visa, someone who wants to come to USA and go to school. Then we also have other employment type of visas that a person comes here to work for their company. Let's say there's a company in Japan, they want to send one of their managers to USA to
Hmm.
monitor the company. So they come here and we call them a non-immigrant types of visas. A green card is a document that you can stay in the USA, you can work in the USA, at the same time you're accruing time to become a US citizen. You can stay here for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. If you do not want to become a US citizen, you don't have to. But the green card, the problem is if you commit two crimes of moral turpitude or a crime of aggravated felony, you may get deported.
Hmm.
So right now, I've been getting a lot of calls, people asking me, oh, I want to become a US citizen. How long will it take? My answer is I do not know. Because in the past, like last year, the fastest citizenship application that was processed and a person became a citizen was 3 months.
Hmm.
That was under the Biden administration. But under the Trump, everything is on hold right now. So
Wow.
it may take 6 months,
Hmm.
it may take 9 months because it's beyond my control. Because the government decides when they're going to have an interview. The government decides when they're going to have you take the oath to become a citizen.
So
So
it's a
things are changing.
long road, man. That's a long time though. 2 years conditional. Then can you clarify for me? Because I'm just like looking on the internet or chat GPT, and it's way better to talk to an actual attorney about this, not just think that you could do it all on the internet. Is it
Right.
true that if you get a green card, after 5 years of having the green card, then you could try to apply for full citizenship?
If you are married to a US citizen, you only need 3 years of physical presence.
Okay.
If you are not married, let's say you got your green card based on marriage, and 3 years later you got a divorce. And then and if you apply, you're no longer with the US citizen, then you have to wait for 5 years. Or you got your green card based on your family base. Like, your parents petitioned you and you came over here.
Mhm.
Then you have to wait for 5 years. Or you got your green card based on employment. Then you have to wait for 5 years.
So basically, I guess a good rule of thumb is if you want to come here as a student and you could string it out to be here for 5 years, which a lot of kids take 5 years to finish school, maybe you could get married, don't get divorced. If you're lucky, it could be 2 years, but maybe worst case scenario, 3 to 5 years. Is there kind of like a 5 year cutoff where if you could just get that green card for that amount of time, you could kind of give yourself the best opportunity to then apply for citizenship?
Now, when you're here as a student, the time that you are here as a student does not count.
Oh, okay.
That's
Okay.
okay, that's a non-immigrant visa, right? So the
Okay.
time when it starts to count when you get your green card first
Hmm.
towards citizenship.
Okay.
Now, and there's another thing to keep in mind is let's say you do have a green card and you decide you want to go back home to visit your family and you're gone for 7 months. Now the time you have to start all over again for the 3 years.
Oh,
So there are a lot of loopholes here and there, so you got to be really careful. Oh, and if you have a green card and you leave the country for more than 1 year, the government can take away your green card.
oh wow. Dude, there's so many different ways that you could kind of make a mistake and then screw up
Right.
your citizenship. Because here's how I see it. There's maybe 3 to 5 countries on this planet that I would love to be a citizen of. And if you were to have like a draft, like the number one overall pick would probably be the United States. For me
Right.
personally, number two, Japan. Love Japan. Maybe number three, Thailand. That would be amazing. But yeah, if you're really serious about wanting to get into the country, um, what would you say? Let's just say you're in another country. What would be the surefire way, whether it be school, whether it be marriage? What's the highest percentage chance that you see people taking advantage of to become a U.S. citizen?
Oftentimes it's school. They come
School?
here, they go to school, right?
Hmm.
And once you're in school, you get after 4 years of grad going to school, you get a thing called, you can go to work for 1 year called OPT. And if you get a sponsor, then you can get a H-1B visa. And based on the H-1B, you can also get a green card. But most of my clientele who are here, oftentimes they come here to go to school and then they meet Mr. Right or Miss Right, who's a US citizen, and they end up getting married.
So let's just say I marry somebody who didn't get a criminal conviction of any sort, was able to move into citizenship, and then now her plan, I mean, maybe I'm just the big dope, and the whole plan was just to find some dude so that she could
Right.
keep it going long enough so that she could bring her family in. Can you explain to me the timeline and the specifics? Let's just say I'm a target. Some girl from the Philippines just wants to get her family out of what do they call it? The province, or you know what I mean? Out of, you know what I mean?
Right.
She wants in and Hawaii. She wants citizenship. She will lie and just pretend that she loves me for a certain amount of time so that she could get her family in. What does that timeline look like?
I'm looking at approximately 4 to 7 years.
Oh, that's it?
Yep.
That's
Yep.
it? A girl
Yep.
could keep that going. That lie could go for 4 to easy. Easy.
Yep. 4 to 7, because it will take her about 4 to 5 years to get a citizenship after she's here.
Hmm.
And then she had to file a petition for her parents, which will take another year to two.
Wow. That's a quick turnaround. You just got to play it the right way. I mean, just get a basic job. You could probably send money back home because
Right.
the US dollar is so strong in comparison to so many countries. But yeah, there is a pretty good path through education. Maybe you could find a way to get a scholarship because those are readily
Right.
available. Of course, you have to
Right.
be the cream of the crop. You have to really
True.
dedicate yourself, but it doesn't seem to me like that much time, and if you really focus and you want it, I mean, going to law school is 3 years, getting a business degree is 3 years, going to medical school or getting a PhD is like 7 years. It
Right.
doesn't seem that much longer than getting your higher education if you're devoted to that than it is to just be devoted to becoming a US citizen and then changing the trajectory of your entire family because now you're an
Right.
American citizen.
Right.
Mm. So
Yep.
yeah, I think that's the move. That's the move. So you personally, how many languages do you speak? What are some of your favorite countries to travel to?
Well, I like yourself. I love going to Japan. I lived in Japan for more than 2 years. So I picked up Japanese, and I was born in Malaysia. So I speak Malay, and my dad was from India. He was from Punjab. So I speak Punjabi, so those are the languages. And I love Japan. I love going to Malaysia. I love the food. Singapore is pretty nice. I have not been to Thailand, so I cannot really say much about it. But Asia been the hot spots. In Canada, next door, our neighbors is a nice place to go to. Pretty close, just 5 hours flight to get there is pretty easy. So
What was your family's road to coming to America and getting citizenship?
my family did not come to USA. I came by myself. I came here as a student.
Oh, the student
And
way. Okay.
that's right. And then I was sponsored by a company and I got my green card based on that.
Nice. That's a good and now you're here helping other people, you know what I mean, who want to achieve the
Yeah,
same dream.
sure. Yeah. And the only advice I give to all my clients is keep it clean. Don't commit any crimes because it will follow you till the end.
Hmm.
And 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 in immigration, it's very important for them to see how did you get here? they will follow that path all the way. Like when you go in for the interview for your green card, that's the first question. How did you get here? When did you get here? What was your status? How did you change your status? And those are the things. And with all my clients, I always do a timeline. Start from their date of birth. Where did you go? And they also go back and look at the countries that you have visited, making sure that we're not letting someone in that may be a problem down the road.
Mm. Have you ever had to post an immigration bond for clients, or do you have people that you refer out for the immigration bond process? Because this is something that I get a call on because I'm a bail agent. However, bail
Right,
bonds are different than immigration bonds. So how do
right.
you solve that problem? Or lastly, is there like a cash deposit style situation so you don't have to do the bond? How does the immigration bond work?
The the judge decides or the DHS decides what the bond amount is. And it has to be 100%. It's not like your office, you post 10% down, but with immigration, it has to be 100%. And the person who can post it has to be either a US citizen or green card holder. Okay? They will check your background when you post a bond.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And if you don't have papers, go try doing it. Because then you're going to be joining your friend sitting in the prison.
Wow. So,
Yeah. So what I usually do is I have the client's family. Let's say the bond is $2,500. They will bring me the $2,500 cash. I go down to the not post office, to the bank and get a cashier's check. But 2025, all that process has changed. Now, the way the bond is set up is you got to go online. I got to put that $2,500 into my trust account, and then I got to go online, put in all my information and my bank information, and the 2,500 will be transferred from my trust account to DHS account. Then the person will get released.
yeah, that's a change. So, to prepare for this podcast, in the world of insurance, there's so many different, I guess, under the umbrella of insurance, there's so many different sectors. And
Right,
a very specific sector is the surety sector. And within
right,
that, you get the really funky bonds like the bail bond or the immigration
right,
bond. So I asked about the immigration bond, and my contact at my insurance company told me, yeah, a lot of times people they might have the money, but they themselves don't have the paperwork and they're scared to go post
right,
the bond. So they gotta have
right,
that third party, like I mean, they all forfeit. They all forfeit. Just in case people care why it's so impossible to get an immigration bond, going through the attorney sounds like the easiest, best way. Um, but if you were to go through an immigration bond vendor, I guess, or a company,
right. Mhm.
um, if you do get deported, and you're ready to show up and you go with your agent and you say, "Hey, we have this order saying show up," and there's a term for the order for
Right,
deportation. The government could say, "Sorry, we're busy today. Come back another time." And it could be weeks or
right,
months later, and that
right,
poor agent, there is no way to keep track of somebody 6, 8, 12 months later. They all
right,
forfeit because it's just too hard to stay in contact with people and then
right,
report back for deportation.
right. Right. And people tend to disappear. Like even in Hawaii, I know people who have posted $30,000, $50,000, and they just disappear.
Yeah,
You know,
and
and they
you
lose that
think,
money.
right?
They don't care. Yeah.
Yeah, all that money goes to waste. So and yeah, and then there's the you have to find them to give if they were like fully collateralized, you have to find them to give their money back, and then if you can't find them, you can't give their money back. It's just a
Right.
whole bunch of headache because now you're carrying money in trust for a client that you can't find.
Mhm. Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And you know, most of my clients that I dealt with, oftentimes they keep in contact, and once the case is completed, the money comes back,
Mhm.
and then you contact them and making sure that they're taken care of. and then you can close your file.
Hmm.
And again, there are some clients who tend to disappear.
Yeah.
So,
And what do you do? They might have went back to their
right,
country. They might have had something else going on. Who
right.
knows? So any interesting stories as we sort of come to a close from your life as, you know, pretty much whenever I talk to attorneys about immigration stuff, they all refer me back to you. So I'm sure you're dialed in to all things immigration, right?
Yeah. Well, all I can say is this. If you have a conviction, please don't leave the country right now. It's
Yeah.
not worth it, you
Hmm.
know? And if you do qualify, become a citizen.
Hmm.
You never know what's going to happen right now. The way things are happening right now they're going after individuals who have criminal convictions. Pretty soon, they're going to go down and start picking up individuals who have applied for green card and it was a fake marriage.
Oh, that
Okay.
that
And
that
then
hits home as the guy who potentially doesn't mind being the fake marriage guy.
you don't want to do that. You can go to jail for that.
Oh,
So, and
really?
that
I
is
could go
the,
to jail?
yes, if, yes, totally, because you're the petitioner. If you enter into a fake marriage and you get paid for getting married to the alien who is coming from a different country, if you look at the application for a green card for that individual, it says in big letters, if this is not true, you can get $250,000 fine and 5 years in jail. Federal time. It's a
How
felony.
how often does that happen?
Well, oftentimes what happens is this, they will go talk to the US citizen and tell the US citizen, hey, we know that you got paid. Okay, you cooperate with us, we'll let you walk. We're gonna deport the person who you helped.
Oh, okay.
So,
But then it's not worth it even if you get to walk because the amount of time, energy, attorney's fees to defend
right,
yourself, also
right,
that somebody could get into the country, whatever, just as a loose number that I used to hear years ago, I heard of people wanting to pay anywhere from ten to $15,000 to some dope who would accept it for a fake marriage for
right,
citizenship.
right,
That retainer is gonna go like that. Whatever you
right,
collected on the front end, if you have to end up defending yourself to keep yourself out of jail.
right. And keep in mind, this is a small town. Everybody talks.
Yes.
Your best friends are the one who's gonna talk. And people start talking, and sometimes and for immigration, for them to know whether this is a real marriage or not, all they do is they go to the US citizen's parents and ask them, hey, is your son married to so and so? They go, what? My son? That's
It's all
the
on
first
paper.
it's the first thing. Marriage? No, he's a loser. He doesn't even have a job.
Yeah, and that's the type of guy who's probably gonna take this they think they're coming up, right? Oh, I could get this money on the front end and yeah, it's like a quick come
Right,
up, but ultimately it's just stupid.
right.
Wow. Well, Mr. Singh, you have been amazing on this podcast. You're a wealth of knowledge. You helped deter me away from my stupid, hey, I'm an American citizen. What's your name, girl? That's a stupid idea.
Uh,
Thank you.
totally.
Yeah, thank you for convincing
Totally.
me out of that. But yeah, if anybody listening or watching this podcast have any questions, you could follow up with attorney Gary Singh, all around great guy. You could find him on the internet. Any last statement or anything that you want for the listeners?
All I want them to do is keep it clean. Don't get in trouble,
Very good.
especially if you're a green card holder.
Yeah, seriously, just and it's only a 4 to 7 year kind of thing. Just you could go just after all that, get the citizenship first, then you could get a little sloppy. You know what I mean?
There
Not,
you go.
yeah,
That's a good, well, just keep it clean.
yeah,
It's
keep it
much
clean.
better that way.
Keep it clean. Very good. Because you don't want to have to call me at the bail bond office after you just became a
Exactly.
citizen. I got you.
Right. Right.
Okay, well, thank you very much and have a good day,
Thank
man.
you. You too. Take care. Bye-bye.